Income and wealth inequality in Canada has quietly become one of the most urgent issues shaping everyday life. It's not just a topic for economists, it's showing up in housing struggles, political debates, and the frustrations of an entire generation. Today, we're breaking down what the data actually shows, who's being left behind, why it's happening, and how Canadians are fighting over what to do next. The record-high gap. Let's start with the big picture. According to official data from Statistics Canada, the income gap in the country has hit record levels. In early 2025, and continuing into the second quarter, the richest households pulled even further ahead, while many lower and middle-income households saw almost no improvement in disposable income. When we shift from income to wealth, the picture becomes even more dramatic. Studies from the Parliamentary Budget Office and academic institutions reveal that the top 1% of Canadians now hold roughly one-quarter of the nation's total wealth. The top 10% control well over half. Meanwhile, the bottom half of the population owns only a tiny fraction. Wealth isn't just about money, it's about security, opportunity, and political influence. And that's why this trend is alarming. Why the gap is widening. There isn't one single cause. It's the result of several forces working together. First, asset price growth. Wealthier Canadians own stocks, investment properties, and financial assets. These have surged in value over the last decade. Lower-income households, on the other hand, often don't own assets, or worse, have taken on more debt. Second, housing. Historically, homeownership was the great equalizer. But today, buying a home is out of reach for many. Younger Canadians are stuck renting, while older or wealthier Canadians have watched their property values skyrocket. Third, the labor market. Wage growth has been strong in high-skill, high-paying industries like tech and finance, but much weaker in service and manual jobs. So, the rewards of economic growth aren't being shared evenly. Finally, the tax and benefit system. Canada does have social programs, but many experts argue that wealth, unlike income, is lightly taxed. That allows the richest households to accumulate and preserve fortunes across generations. Housing, the breaking point. If there is one area where inequality becomes painfully visible, it's housing. Over the past decade, housing prices in major cities surged far beyond wage growth. Even as prices cooled slightly in some regions, rents have exploded. Young adults are delaying moving out, often staying with parents or living with multiple roommates. University of British Columbia research shows dramatic changes in household formation. Fewer young families, more shared living, less stability, and if you're hoping for public or affordable housing, good luck. Demand outnumbers supply by tens of thousands. Housing has become a symbol of generational unfairness, and for many Canadians, it feels like the system is rigged. Who is struggling the most? The burden of inequality isn't evenly spread. Lower-income households face rising costs for essentials, housing, utilities, transportation, while income growth stagnates. In fact, some households are experiencing net dissaving, meaning they are spending more than they earn, often relying on credit just to get by. Younger Canadians are hit especially hard. They face student debt, high rent, precarious employment, and limited savings. Meanwhile, the top 20%, and especially the top 1%, continue to enjoy growing investment income and rising wages. The result? A deep sense of frustration and a growing appetite for bold policy change. The fight over solutions. So, what can be done? This is where the political debate gets intense, and there are three major areas of focus. 1. Housing supply and investment. The federal government has announced massive plans to build affordable housing and speed up development, even creating a new agency to handle large-scale construction. Supporters say, "We can't fix inequality without fixing housing supply." Critics respond, "Money alone won't help if zoning laws and municipal barriers stay in place." 2. Targeted income supports and automatic benefits. Canada is trying to make benefits more accessible by automatically enrolling eligible low-income households for tax credits and financial aid. Supporters say this cuts poverty fast and closes gaps in access. Opponents worry about long-term government spending and whether it discourages employment. 3. Wealth and tax reform. Here's the most controversial idea. Tax wealth, not just income. Some economists and policy groups want higher taxes on capital gains, inheritances, or even an annual wealth tax on the ultra-rich. They say the current system allows massive fortunes to grow untaxed. Business groups argue this would hurt investment, drive businesses out of Canada, and slow growth. This tax debate is only heating up. Alternative ideas. Guaranteed basic income. Beyond traditional programs, some advocates are calling for a guaranteed basic income. Regular cash transfers to ensure everyone can meet basic needs. Pilot programs have shown reductions in poverty, better health outcomes, and more financial stability. But the big question remains, how do we fund it at a national level? And would it replace or add to existing welfare systems? Opinions are sharply divided. Political pressure is building inequality is no longer a background issue. It's reshaping Canadian politics. Housing and cost of living concerns have become central campaign themes. Young voters, especially renters, are demanding action. Some political leaders are promising aggressive reforms. Others warn about deficits, inflation, and economic risk. The debate isn't just about if we act, it's about how. Redistribute wealth, encourage growth, build more housing, tax the rich, cut red tape. Every side claims to have the solution. What to watch in the coming months? If you want to follow how this develops, here's what really matters. Statistics, Canada's quarterly income and wealth reports. These will show whether the gap is shrinking or widening. Federal budgets, especially funding for housing, tax policy changes, and benefit delivery systems. Provincial and municipal zoning reforms. These could unlock new housing supply more than any funding program. Parliamentary Budget Office and academic studies. Expect more deep dives into how wealth is concentrated and how policy changes would affect distribution. Public opinion. The political narrative will shift depending on how angry voters become. The stakes. Canada is a wealthy country. But the question is, wealthy for whom? If current trends continue, we risk locking in a future where opportunity depends almost entirely on who your parents are and what assets they own. But inequality is not destiny. The policies chosen in the next few years on housing, taxation, and social benefits could either expand opportunity or deepen the divide. Final thought. Canada's story right now isn't just about economics. It's about fairness, dignity, and the kind of country people want to live in. The gap is real. The frustration is real. And the choices ahead will shape an entire generation. Will Canada find a way to rebalance the system? Or are we entering a permanent era of winners and losers? Only time and political courage will tell. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into how global economics impacts your daily life.